Hi everyone, good afternoon. It's Louise Armstrong here, and as most of you know, I'm a family relationship coach. And today I'm going to talk to you about a topic that's really close to my heart and has come up so many times recently with many clients of mine. And any of you listening now or know anyone with teenagers who are struggling, I really would love you to take on board some of the tips I'm going to share with you because they really helped so many families. Now, firstly, why do I have such importance on relationships? Relationships really affect every area of our lives, down to our home life, our personal life, our love lives, our businesses, in the workplace, our health. Just about every single area of your life is affected by the relationships you have. And today in particular, we're talking about teenagers and teenage daughters. The mother-daughter relationship is the most intense, powerful relationship you will ever have. This then frames every single relationship you have in your life. So it is of utter importance, the relationship we have with our mothers and with our daughters. And I've done quite a few videos and posts before on the mother-daughter relationship. And today I'm going to talk about you and your child. So, talking about me and two other clients of mine, which will give you some insight. I was a very rebellious teenager and I was brought up by an incredibly controlling and overpowering mother. Not a good combination. And what I took with me through life were all the feelings from those teenage years. And that is what I want to help everyone who's struggling with this now, because although the words may stop, the feelings don't. So mine was a pretty traumatic life, and I really tried my best with my 3 children and my 2 girls not to replicate this. And on the whole, I did a pretty good job, except with my eldest daughter. The strain, the controlling came through to her, and it really did affect our relationship. So I'm going to talk to you about 2 of my clients that have had issues with their children, and it might help you to see it from a different angle. One of my clients' children were having a big problem with exams. So they weren't working, they weren't studying, they were messing about, anything but working. And they had planned to go to university later on this year in September, and this child around February March time really just gave up working. He was an A-class student and just stopped working. Couldn't work it out. The school couldn't work it out. Nobody knew what was going on. Very rebellious, very sullen. And what it turned out to be, having worked with this family, is this child was terrified of leaving home. Absolutely terrified of leaving home. So in his mindset, if he failed his exams, he wouldn't then have to go on to university. So once we alleviated the child that they didn't have to go to university, but it was paramount they got the exams, the pressure was off and the child began to study again. So you can see that perhaps if you're in the middle of a situation yourselves now, stand back and see what else could be going on. And I'd just like to add here that this child carried on, got fantastic exam results, and is planning to start university a year in September. So that is a really great sort of ending to that scenario. Another client of mine, she's got 2 girls, a 13-year-old and a 15-year-old. And the 15-year-old is not one for working. She's messing around. She's quite rebellious. We're slamming the doors. We're not speaking. We're throwing our school bag on the floor. Revision isn't getting done. Quite a difficult relationship with her mother. The younger daughter is very studious. The 13-year-old gets her head down and works like a Trojan. And the mother, she is an absolute workaholic. She runs her life at 100 miles an hour and goes from this thing to that thing to the other thing. So this is the scenario we've got. So let's take a step back and see what's going on within this family. So we've got the 13-year-old seeing her older sister get into trouble because she's not working, etc., etc., seeing her mother's behavior, that she does everything at 100 miles an hour, so that's what she does. She doesn't see anyone relaxing. She doesn't see anyone taking control of their lives. This is what she's picturing. So when we take a step back from the situation, and this particular lady came away from pestering her kids to do the homework, pestering them to do this, etc., so she got off their backs and really grabbed the concept that it's okay if these children fail. If they don't do the work and they fail the exam, far better they learn this when they're 13, 14, 15, 16 than when they're 25, 26, 27, and then they can't cope with failure. So by taking a step back and by showing your children how you want them to behave, for instance, the younger daughter here, showing her that it is okay to take time out. You do lead a balanced life. Don't tell her. Show her with your behaviour. Show her that mums enjoy themselves. It isn't about working and rushing around. If you don't show her, she doesn't know. So that's what happened. Took a step back, reframed, put a lot of different things in, the mum's life, and the whole concept of the family dynamics changed. So these are some things you could perhaps incorporate into your life. Now, the mother-daughter relationship is a very complex one, as I've said before, and I've done huge research into this, and it is my speciality because it's close to my heart. And underlying all this mother-daughter relationship, we want to be liked. And we also want our children to be like us. It may not be a conscious thing, but underneath that is often what's going on in this mother-daughter relationship. So in the first instance, you can be very aware of your behaviour. So you are not projecting your behaviour onto your child. She's a completely different being to you. So just be really aware of perhaps what you're trying to make your daughter do. Is it a past belief? Is it a past behaviour from your childhood? Is it what your mother did? Just be very aware and take, as I say, take a step back as well. You, as a parent, as an adult, are responsible for how you react. You are responsible. Your daughter is going to push your buttons. She's going to push them, and she's going to push them hard. Now, your job is to react in a responsible way to her. You show her you are the adult. You do not lower yourself to her level. You are not her best friend. You are a parent, and do the parenting. And another thing you can do is stop telling her what to do. Ask her how she feels. People don't always like to be told. You can get the same message across in a different way. As very small children, we are used to feeling. We lose that as we get older, and we do a lot of our learning through seeing and hearing. Feeling is what changes behaviour. So let's ask your daughter how she feels about a situation instead of telling her. Be aware when you compliment, when your daughter does well, when she's successful, be aware that you need to compliment her actually 5 times for every criticism you've given her. So when she does well, you've got to give a lot more compliments to her for those to sit in, because it's going to be the criticism that she remembers. So you've got to give more when she has done well. And the biggest thing, I think, for all of us today, we're in this age where failure isn't acceptable. You know, a lot of us wrap our children up in cotton wool, especially here in Dubai. I cannot believe the concept that we have here is we have to wrap our children up in cotton wool. They are not allowed to fail at anything. We protect them. And one of the greatest gifts to your children is to allow them to fail. This is how they learn. And if they learn that when something doesn't work out, when they failed at something, and it isn't a complete disaster, the world isn't over, they learn it's okay. It's okay to try things. So it's best that these children learn this when they're young, not when they're 25, 26 and they get that job rejection. Something happens with their girlfriend, they get relationship issues, financial issues, whatever it is. Far better for them to learn when they are small. So really start this now, giving your children responsibility. Feed them little bits by bit. Don't protect them. They've got to make their mistakes. You only learn by trying things and making mistakes. And you realise it's okay. So let them go. And this really is where my butterfly logo comes through on my website. I don't know if some of you will have seen it there, but I'm very passionate about my butterfly logo, and I do try and spread it around everywhere because it's got such meaning. And the meaning here is hold your children on the palm of your hand like a butterfly and let them go. Let them spread their wings. Let them make mistakes. Let them fail. Be there to support and help them back up again, but let them. Don't protect them. Don't try and give your children what you didn't have. Let that they are their own identities. And I think this is really hard for a lot of us today because of the society that we live in. As a child, I was very protected. My mother was incredibly controlling, and I was not allowed to get out of this clasp. So it was like I was sat on her hand like that butterfly, and she was really clasping those wings of mine in. I could not escape. And of course, I just wanted to go. I didn't want to come back. And I did a lot of these things with controlling with my eldest daughter, unknowingly. And that all, through the healing process we went through, that all changed. And I let her go. I just let her go. And what's happened? She's come back. So we had a falling out many years ago now, and it was very painful at the time. But she's come back because I let her go. She's actually living back with us here in Dubai, which is wonderful. So let your children go. Let them fail. Let them fall down. Be there for them. Keep that communication line open. They will learn. They will grow. So that's really what I wanted to cover with you today. This is a very emotive, it's a very common topic. Bringing up teenagers is not easy, but you can make the ride a lot smoother. So do leave your comments below. I'm always happy to Skype with anyone. PM me. I've got a mass of content. I've got a huge amount of information on this. I'm starting to coach teachers in a school and work with teenagers now to help their development and their relationships with their teachers, with their parents, so that they can make the most out of those years in their life. So please do reach out. Don't suffer alone, and don't pretend it's okay when it's not. You don't have to be. There's a big change happening in the UK, which is spilling over here in Dubai. I can see it happening right now, where it's actually okay. It's actually the in thing, if you like, to say, help, I can't do it alone. Because that is a huge strength, because it's hard for us to admit that it's not working. So it's a sign of strength if you reach out for some help there. So please do. Don't be alone. Thank you very much for listening today, and I will be back on Monday. Take care. Enjoy the weekend. Bye-bye.